What's up, you guys? Hey, first of all, thank you guys for the support after the last video when this oh so dangerous channel was banned by Google. And also thank you for the support to reach 100,000 subscribers. I've been sitting on this video for a few weeks and was kind of saving this one because I think this is a special video for 100,000 subscribers. So here is what is on tap for today. Basically what I've done is I've taken the 82 cartridges that we track and I ranked them by their recoil, but not the number you're probably used to looking at for recoil. I think that's the wrong number to look at. And then I took 3 different measurements of how much power it takes to kill a deer-sized game versus an elk-sized game. And we're gonna look at the lowest recoiling cartridges that are still adequate for big game hunting. Let's go. So we're looking at a pretty expansive field of cartridges today. But the first one I want to highlight is this guy, the 50 BMG. If you haven't ever seen one up close, they are huge. So if we take these 82 cartridges that I track and we just rank by free recoil energy, the 50 BMG has 83.17 foot-pounds of energy. So the 50 BMG, by that number, this should just blow your shoulder off. I mean, you should have nothing left after this. But everybody I talk to after shooting the 50 BMG says, oh no, it's actually pretty mild. It doesn't really hurt very much. But it depends on which model you get, which is why I'm still looking a little bit. And the reason is that we're looking at the wrong number. The free recoil energy, yes, that's how much power is hitting your shoulder, but it's not a good measure of how much it's going to hurt. This is why. Suppose you get a giant 20,000 pound semi truck, right? And it's up against your shoulder and that semi truck just idles forward 1 inch. Well, is that gonna hurt? No, not at all. Does it have a tremendous amount of energy? Oh yeah, it does. I mean, it's gonna move you easily, but it doesn't hurt at all. Now you take a small little, whatever, 2-pound baseball and you throw it just at 15 miles an hour against your shoulder, well, ow, that hurts, right? And so that is the difference between recoil energy and recoil velocity. Recoil velocity is part of the formula for recoil energy, but the recoil energy just way overemphasizes that mass that's coming at you rather than just the speed that butt pad is going to be hitting you at. And so I like to look at recoil velocity as the best rough measure of just pain and recoil energy as how much I'm going to get pushed off the target when I pull the trigger. That works for me. Still not perfect, but it's a better measure as far as I'm concerned. So now we see the heaviest cartridges when we sort by recoil velocity dramatically change. In fact, that 50 BMG that was so far ahead at number 1 now drops to number 45 in the rankings. And honestly, that's probably more correct as long as we're talking about a 50 BMG that weighs, 40 pounds. So what are the most painful cartridges? Well, that's the 378 Weatherby Magnum, 3378 Weatherby Magnum, 458 Win Mag, and you can read all along. Frankly, these aren't cartridges that you probably shoot every day. They're not very common because, well, they absolutely kick your shoulder really hard, right? And so now, the question I have is, what if we take the energy it takes to kill a deer, which most people say is around 1,000 foot-pounds, what would be the lightest recoiling cartridges that's fully adequate for that task? Well, if we do that, we could go down here and we'd see that's the 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser. But energy isn't a good enough number to try to understand its ability to kill game. We're going to look at Hornady's HITS formula that I think is probably the best formula out there for a cartridge's ability to kill game. And they like to say that we want to be at 900 for elk-sized game or 500 for deer-sized game. And so yellow is deer-sized game. And then there's one more measure. Now, I surveyed you guys, and you said that only 3% of the shots that you guys take on big game animals is past 500 yards. And so we're going to take that 500 yard mark and say 97% of shots are going to be within that. And I want to make sure the bullet is traveling at least 1900 feet per second when it hits the animal at 500 yards. And the reason is that a lot of bullets just will not adequately expand or won't expand at all when they're going slower than 1900 foot-pounds. So we need to hit all 3 of these categories to say we're fully adequate to kill a deer at that distance, okay? I know this is getting exciting, right? What would be the lightest recoiling cartridges that meet all 3 of those criteria? I promise I didn't cook the books here. It's the 6.5 Creedmoor. I know some of you are going crazy right now because the only thing more popular than 6.5 Creedmoor is 6.5 Creedmoor hate. Well, the old 6.5 Creedmoor, is this it? Nope. That's it. The old 6.5 Creedmoor here, it is just statistically the lightest recoiling cartridge that's fully adequate of killing deer at 500 yards, meeting all 3 of these criteria. To me, that's really cool. Okay, so here we have the field in front of us. The 6.5 Creedmoor. Next is the 260 Remington. Then we have 7mm Mauser, 6.5 284. The 7mm 08, this is one that I want to do a full cartridge profile on for you guys. Really neat cartridge that frankly should be more popular than it is. All right, now let's look at elk-sized game. So looking for elk, now we need green in all 3 of these categories. And there, it is very interesting. It is the 6.5 PRC. I just bought one of these. I've hunted with them before, but we're going to take this one to South Africa. We're actually going next week, so I'm really excited to bring you footage from that hunt in South Africa with my family. 6.5 PRC is the lightest recoiling cartridge that is elk capable by these numbers. Also 280 Remington, 280 Ackley improved, 6.5 Weatherby RPM, 6.8 Western, the new guy is showing up. 7 SOM, one of my favorite cartridges, 30-06 of course. And you guys know I love this one, the 7-rim mag. What I think is really cool on this list is these cartridges here are what I would consider to just be the best all-around hunting cartridges out there right now. They all pretty much came up on this list. Now let's look at the recoil energy between them. So the lightest was the 6.5 PRC, and the heaviest of the lightest that's still elk capable is the 7-rim mag. Now the recoil velocity between those two on this formula is, between 11.1 and 13.3. It's not huge. However, there is a cartridge that I think we need to mention here. It is the 28 Nosler. I took a 28 Nosler the first time I went to Africa, and so I have seen quite a few animals die at its hand. And wow, it is absolutely devastating. It is devastating what the 28 Nosler does. It's just so fast. But there was a problem with the 28 Nosler in my mind, and that is it just crossed the recoil threshold a little bit too far for me. Now, in fairness, I was shooting this in a Browning X-Bolt Pro, and it's about, I would call it an 8-pound gun scoped and ready to go. So it's a pretty lightweight gun, and with the 28 Nosler, I mean, it was just painful. It was not fun at all to pull the trigger on that gun. The problem wasn't the shoulder. The problem was I was laying down prone to shoot hunting, and it just rakes your elbows over the rocks. It just, I just did not have fun with that. I like 28 Nosler. I'd want more like a 10-pound gun to shoot a 28 Nosler comfortably. And so I guess the reason I include that is the 28 Nosler's recoil, the recoil velocity is 14.7. So to me, a 7-rim mag, I don't get any flinch. I can shoot that no problem. Don't even think about it. It's fine, even in a light 7-pound rifle. It's totally okay with me. 28 Nosler and up, I'm starting to think a little bit more about the shot. Now, you can shoot big cartridges and it's fine, but you just have to think about it a little bit. You have to get the right gun that's adequate for shooting a heavy caliber. A 7 mag, I feel like even in a light gun, I feel just fine with that gun. And so there is a pretty big divide here between around 13 feet per second and 14. I mean, this is a pretty compressed scale of only up to 17 is or 19 is what we're talking about here. So I think that's really cool, looking over these numbers and really seeing the recoil. But I know there are a ton of cartridges that I have not talked about in this video. And so go to backfire.tv/recoil, and I have the full recoil database there with all the numbers you're going to want to look at for these 82 most popular cartridges. I think it's cool information to see. Okay, one more thing. I've got to take you guys on a field trip. I have spent altogether too much money on scopes. We have these plus about 4 more. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together a video of the best rifle scope. This one is going to be under $500, and then we're going to do some different categories in future videos. However, there's a lot of scope stuff that is just specific to the individual. It just depends on what you prefer. And so I'm actually holding a focus group here at my house in St. George, Utah in a couple weeks. And so if you live near St. George and you want to come over, maybe I'll cook burgers or dogs for you guys. We'll just hang out for a couple hours and we're going to go out in my back pasture and we're actually going to test out all of these scopes. And I want to get some feedback. It's going to be part of that review is everybody looking through the scopes. I'm going to mask out everything, all the brands and everything, so you can't tell what brand is which. And we're going to have everybody rank the clarity, just how good that glass is on each scope. And we're going to look at some actual numbers to see if your average hunter can even tell the difference between the glass quality, between a little bit more of an expensive scope and a cheaper scope. So that review is going to be cool. If you live anywhere near St. George, you want to come down, it's going to be in a couple weeks. Go to wrong brand. I just sold Income School, which was the company that I have been running for the last 6 years. I just exited that company and now I'm running Backfire full time now. And so anyway, I get confused. Backfire.tv/St. George. Backfire.tv/St. George. Register there. I'm going to message everybody with details on when we're going to meet and everything, and hope to see you here. See you guys.